always seem to go back and forth on who's hotter, Stephen Amell or Robbie Amell. So Code 8 is a movie that came out on Netflix this weekend, and it's actually based on a short film of the same name, written and directed by Jeff Chan, and produced and starring Stephen and Robbie Amell, who you know Stephen Amell as Oliver Queen from Arrow, and Robbie Amell, if you watch The Tomorrow People, he was the lead in The Tomorrow People, and I really enjoyed that show. I'm so mad it was canceled. And he played Ronnie Raymond, the original Firestorm, during seasons 1 and 2 of The Flash. And in the world of Code 8, 4% of the world's population are suddenly born with supernatural powers. And kind of like mutants from the X-Men, the powers of these individuals vary and their power levels vary. And again, just like X-Men, they're ranked into class. Class 1, which is the weakest, all the way up to Class 5, which is the strongest. And just like in reality, humans fear things they don't understand. These powered individuals are more or less shunned by society, and all of them have to register with the government. And unlike the Marvel or DC universe, these people don't become superheroes. And so because of that, they find a very hard time finding jobs. And so you're following the lead of this story, played by Robbie Amell. His name is Connor Reed. He ends up getting involved in some criminal activity so he can gather enough money and resources to help his mother, who's sick with brain cancer. And for the most part, living in this world and watching this world unfold from an audience perspective, it's not really that original. Like, you've pretty much seen all of this in the X-Men comics and the X-Men movies, where people are suddenly born with mutant powers and they're prosecuted by the Homo sapiens. And then you have some people, like a Magneto figure, who feel that the Homo superior or the mutants are the true inheritors of the earth and they're the ones that should be in charge, and they're just simply fighting for their rights to exist. And then you have a Charles Xavier-like figure who just wants to live peacefully with these humans. You've seen storylines like that prop up plenty of times. Or even look at something like Heroes, which is a very good show, only for the first season. I don't even acknowledge the other seasons after that. It's pretty much the same premise. Or a show like Mutant X, or a movie like Push starring Chris Evans and Dakota Fanning, and a bunch of other properties. And for the most part, you've seen this type of world before. But the thing that's interesting about Code 8 is it takes a different side to this idea of being born with powers. Like, you would think that if you're born with supernatural powers, that the world is essentially your oyster. You could do whatever you want. And that's not necessarily meaning from a criminal standpoint, but like me, I've been wishing since I was a child, and even still to this day, that one day I would say get my letter from Hogwarts, or I would wake up with some type of supernatural ability, powers like the Silver Surfer, or I would suddenly run into somebody that has magical abilities like, for example, Doctor Strange, or one day I'd get bitten by a radioactive spider and become Spider-Man, or some form of supernatural ability. Me personally, I would like magical abilities on the level of Doctor Strange or Willow from Buffy the Vampire Slayer season 6 and 7, and if you read the comics, season 8. Because I feel like with magic, you can pretty much do all of it. You can fly, you can have telekinesis, you can have telepathy, you can go into space. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, the thing about Code 8 is it's showing that even though you're born with enhanced abilities, your life is actually worse off because you're born with these abilities, and you can't help how you were born, but yet society still treats you terribly. And there are a lot of parallels in this movie in terms of like how they treat immigrants in the real world, or how they treat black and brown folk in the real world just based on the skin color that we're born in, or the parallels with LGBTQ folk just by virtue of the attractions that we're born having, and we're essentially treated like second-class citizens even still to this day. Because just because gay marriage is legal, there are still other fights to be had, like blood donation, or the fact that you can still be fired in 23 states for being gay. And the thing that's different from this property than all the other properties is it shows that, yeah, like in the X-Men world, they're still prosecuted and humans still hate them, but at the end of the day, they're still superheroes. They still go on wild adventures, and they still have this sense of family and community within the mutant community and other superheroes. Like, you'll see the X-Men have crossovers and make friends with Spider-Man or the Incredible Hulk or the other Avengers. In this world, there's none of that. There are no superheroes in this world. None amongst them are living the high life, so to speak. And there's other aspects of this world that they reveal in terms of when powered individuals were first discovered that was very interesting. It's something I hadn't seen in other properties before, and a different take on people born with powers. That was a cool concept overall. So I feel like the world building was pretty cool and believable, unlike something like the Will Smith movie Bright, which the world building for that just didn't make sense. And going into Robbie Amell's character, Connor Reed, read. Like, I really felt for his character. I completely understood and empathized with the level of desperation that he had to cause him to fall into this descent of criminal activity. Because the thing that they showed you beforehand and why I really enjoyed it is they established the relationship that he had with his mother and how close they were. And it kind of puts you in the mindset where you kind of think to yourself, if I was in his shoes, I probably may have done the same thing. Of course, you don't know until you know, but his motivation made complete sense to me. But something I will say that kind of caught me off guard is if you followed the Arrowverse and you know, or you just know the actors Robbie Amell and Stephen Amell, they both have the same last names. The two of them are cousins and they look like they're related. Like, if you told me they were brothers, I would believe you. That's how much they look alike. And so in this movie, the two of them didn't know each other. They weren't related at all. And that kind of took me out of the movie a little bit because I'm just like, considering how close these two characters look to each other, throw a reference in there was like, hey, you two kind of look alike, because they do. It wasn't so jarring that it took me out of the movie, but it was just something I was like, okay, for them not to be related, considering how much they look alike, it's kind of funny. All of the performances were pretty strong, and while this wasn't Avengers Endgame or Batman v Superman level of special effects, I thought the special effects that they did have in this movie were pretty well done and well crafted, and the few action sequences that were in this movie were pretty good. I thought from a cinematography perspective, this movie was pretty well shot and well directed, and the script was very tight as well. Because I'm a character guy, I said this in plenty of my other reviews, the thing that I wish is you got a whole lot of story from Connor, you felt for Connor, but you didn't really get that much from Stephen Amell's character and the other group of people that Connor ended up running with. Considering how much screen time they had in the movie, you didn't really get that much backstory or character from them. They were just there, and I would have liked to have known more about them. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I would love to see more from this world, and I actually found out after doing some research that this movie was actually picked up to be a series starring Robbie and Stephen Amell on the Quibi streaming network. I don't know what that is, but more than likely they're gonna have some type of free trial. So once Code 8 comes out, I'll wait for the season to end, I'll do the free trial, and then I'll cancel my subscription. There's way too many streaming services. I can't afford all of this. But it's, yeah, in terms of Code 8, like I said, I really enjoyed it. I would really recommend that you watch it if you're into this supernatural sci-fi fantasy genre, and I would give it a high hit. I think the thing that's keeping it a blockbuster for me, because I consider something a blockbuster if I have a visceral emotional reaction, whatever that reaction is, whether I'm bawling or whether I'm screaming, yeah, like I did with John Wick on Avengers Endgame, and I didn't really have that for this movie. I think the thing that's kept it from having that, from giving me that, is probably if there was a little bit more action and there was a little bit more development for the other characters. But yeah, the question is, did you see Code 8? What did you think about it? Let me know down in the comment section below. Also, if you can, hit that thumbs up button and like this video to really help out the channel. If this is your first time watching one of my videos, please check out the other videos on my channel. And if you like what you see, please subscribe for more and hit that bell notification button so you're alerted every single time I post a new video. And tell your friends, families, and neighbors about my channel to help me continue to grow. And as always, I will catch you guys next time.